Hello everybody, and thank you so much for joining me for today's video. If you're new here, hi, I'm Gina, and on this channel I talk all things sewing and dressmaking. Welcome to part 2 of sewing my dream Italian wardrobe and another week in my sewing room. In today's video, I'm going to be finishing off the projects I started on last week. If you missed part 1, I started making this gorgeous dress here, which is very nearly finished, and I also started cutting out a couple of other projects as well. These two dresses here. So the first one is Me 2067. I'm making View A, this one here, in a gorgeous printed broderie anglais fabric. And then the next thing I'm making is this pattern here. This is M8282. I'm going to be making View C, but I'm lengthening the skirt a little bit. I'm also sewing this in a broderie anglaise fabric, but just a plain white version. So lots to be getting on with this week. All of my patterns are cut out now, so today I'm going to be working on M8282. The only thing is, I'm not going to be able to finish this dress today, which is really annoying because I underestimated how much fabric I would need. I went off the fabric requirements for View C as it is, which is 3 meters, forgetting that I wanted to make it longer, and also my fabric is directional, so I couldn't be really clever about the way that I cut it out. Annoyingly, I'm going to have to wait for that to arrive, but I've ordered it from Lullaby's Fabrics, who are really quick with their delivery normally, so it should be here very soon. Although I haven't got everything to finish this dress, I'm going to start sewing it today anyway and see how far we can get, and then get started on this one. If I've got time, which I probably don't because we go in just over a week, I would really like to make a swimsuit as well in the gorgeous swimwear fabric I showed you last week, but I think that would be really pushing it for time, and I don't want to be doing any last minute sewing. I think I've got enough to be getting on with, so let's go. So I did start working on the bodice last night, and I just sewed together the bodice pieces, the front bodice piece up to the sides on the outer shell and the lining, but I did leave out the back piece because I would like to hack this pattern. So it's either got a shirred panel in the back or a big tie that ties into a bow at the back. I would really like the bow, but I think I'm going to be limited again for fabric. Even though I've ordered that extra piece, I only got 1/2 meter, and those big bow ties take a lot of fabric, so I'm not sure that will work. As lovely as it will look, I'm not sure. So backup plan is a shirred panel in the back. So I'm just going to leave the back piece off for a bit. I know for sure that I definitely don't want a zip because I want it to be extra stretchy and breathable so I can eat extra pasta. First mistake of the day, I realised you're not supposed to sew any of the back pieces to the front pieces of your shell. So I need to get rid of this side back piece. So that's a great start. I can just tell how today is going to go. So when the bodice is put together, the next step is you've got your big overlay piece that you cut out on the bias. That needs to be gathered at the sides because we're going to put this over this front piece here. Hopefully that makes sense. So I'm just going to gather the sides of this now and then adjust it to fit over this bodice. So I've attached my overlay at the front correctly now, and now I'm going to reattach those side back panels. So I'm putting everything right side to right side. Oh, I've got myself all tangled up. Hang on. There we go. So everything's right side to right side, pinned together, so you can see all those gathers that we've just done are covered away nicely, and then we'll attach the lining as normal. There isn't a view that has this kind of back with the gathered front, so I'm just doing this slightly differently so it works, because if I'm going to insert a tie or a shirred back panel, I don't want the gathered overlay on this piece of the bodice because it just will be quite difficult and fiddly to attach. So I want to leave that flat and just have the gathered overlay at the front. I'm so sorry about this chair. Every time I film a video, I remind myself I must oil it and get it fixed to stop it creaking so bad, and then I forget. So I'm sorry about that. The next step of this dress is the sleeves. So I'm going to do that now. So for the shoulder seam, which is this bit here, you attach a binding to insert the elastic. So that becomes an elastic channel. And then at the base of the sleeve here, you just fold your fabric over, fold it again to create an elastic casing. I'll show you what I mean in a sec. Please ignore the bra. I obviously wouldn't wear this bra with this dress, but I'm just having my first try on. It's really hard to show you because I've got nothing holding the back together, so that's why I'm stood like this and why it doesn't fit me across the bust. But when I do pull it in, it does fit really well. But I've decided I don't like the way this neckline kind of comes up at the top. So, 2 secs. I've just tucked this under, but I think this looks so much nicer on me. It's a much more flattering neckline. So I'm just going to shape off the top and make that adjustment now. This is definitely a case of do as I say, not what I do. So basically I've just used a ruler and gone across here to straighten this up. This is very rough. I wouldn't do it like this if I was going to do it, you know, really, really neatly. I'd take the lining off and do it properly. But for the sake of time saving, this is what we're going for. Hopefully this works okay. Hello, hello. It's quite a few days since I last spoke to you. This has been a very unsuccessful week in terms of sewing. A few days ago, I got written off with a migraine attack and it lasted quite a long time. So I haven't really been feeling in the mood to do any sewing. I'm still feeling a little bit ropey now, to be totally honest with you, so hence my sleepy appearance. But I've got a few hours to finish off a couple of my projects. So I really want to get that done because it's not long until we go now. A bit of an update. I started on the Nomi dress and I've decided I'm going to leave it until I get back from holiday. I don't have enough time to make it fit to perfection. And when I tried it on, I realized there was quite a few fit issues for me. I definitely struggle with off the shoulder kind of bodices. So that one, I just need to wait. I'm not going to have time to fix it, which is a shame because I really would have liked to have that one done. So I'm just going to concentrate on the 2 McCall's dresses that I have. And then I'm going to take a Vogue dress that I've had for a few years. I just need to redo the hem and neaten up the zip at the back a bit. And then I think that'll probably do. We're only going for a few days, so I don't need that much stuff. So in terms of this white dress, I am very nearly done. It doesn't look like it because there's no skirt attached to the bodice, but I was waiting for some more fabric to arrive so I can finish that. So this morning's project is I'm going to do a shirred panel in the back of this bodice. Then I need to attach the skirt and then it's done. So that shouldn't take too long. And then I just need to do the binding on my red and pink dress. And I've decided that I'm just going to elasticate the back of the dress. I tried it on last night with my mum and she was like, there's plenty of room in the back just to elasticate it. Don't bother with the zip. So that's amazing. I'm very happy about that because I have plans to eat lots and lots of pasta and gelato. So I want all the breathing room possible. So anyway, yeah, a few things to do this morning. Let's get on with it. So I'm going to show you how to do a shirred bodice back on a dress. So with this particular pattern, you have a bodice back pattern piece. So it's a separate kind of panel at the back. This is where you would normally have your zip. So what we're going to do is measure across. I always go for the widest part of the bodice. So 5 inches across the top. We need 2 of these pieces. So that's 10 inches. And then we're going to double it. And that is going to create our shirred panel piece, the width of it. And then for the length, I tend to just measure it in the middle all the way up. So that's 9 inches. And then I will add another inch to allow for an elastic casing, because when I shear the back of my dresses, I like to have elastic casing along the top to make it really secure. So Easy, 20 across, 10 up, and that is what we're going to cut. So the first step in creating our shirred back panel, as I mentioned earlier when I cut this out, I'm going to put an elastic channel across the top. It just holds it up a lot better and gives it a much nicer finish across the top, I think, makes it smoother. So I'm just going to finish off this edge on my overlocker. Then we are going to press that under, get rid of all those overlocking edges, and then we'll press it under again. So it looks a little bit like, ooh, I'm not doing this very well. So it looks a little bit like this, and then we'll top stitch that closed, and that's where we can insert our elastic. And then we start shirring below that line, and it just gives a really, really beautiful finish. I'm just winding my bobbin for my shirring. Because this is quite a lightweight cotton, I've kept a fair bit of tension in the elastic thread as I've wound it round. My settings for my machine when I shear are my longest stitch length, my tension is between 3 and 4, which is what it normally is, and the only thing I tend to change is the tension in the way that I wind my bobbin. This machine can be a little bit temperamental to shear with, so I usually have to experiment a few times before it's absolutely perfect. Funnily enough, I've got my first ever sewing machine, my little Janome, which is the goat when it comes to shearing. Every single time I shear on that machine, I don't have to put any effort into it, and it just flies through. The tension's perfect, it's amazing. But this one, a little bit more tough. Oh, I'm so chuffed. Literally perfect first time round. Don't forget as well, if your shearing looks a little bit loose, when you steam it with your iron later on, it all tightens up a little bit more. So don't worry if it's not completely tight, but also as you add rows, it gets tighter too. But that is looking perfect. I absolutely love shearing lightweight cottons. They are the best fabric to shear. So I think this is going to be relatively straightforward. Thank goodness for that. All done. This isn't my neatest work, I must admit. It's really hard to see the rows of stitching on this broderie anglaise fabric, but it looks okay. It's not too messy. So now I'm just going to pop some elastic in the back. So this is kind of hard to explain, but I will do my best. In terms of the elastic that goes across the top of this panel, I would base this onto your dress, cut off more than you need, and roughly kind of guesstimate how big you want it to be. And then I would try it on with it basted and adjust your elastic from there. Everyone's backs are very, very different. And if I follow elastic guides for things on patterns, it tends to be that it doesn't fit right. So I would definitely try it on yourself, adjust it from there if you can, or if you've got someone who can kind of pull it tight across your back, so you can cut it based on that, then make a note of that measurement. So when you do this in the future, it's easy to know how much elastic to cut. So now I'm going to attach this to the bodice, and then we are nearly done, apart from adding this absolutely ginormous ruffle to the bottom of the skirt. I feel like this is going to take a very, very long time. So now it's time to insert our shirred panel into the back of our dress. So the first step is press under your raw edge of your center back panel, both your shell and your bodice, by about 1/2 inch. We're then going to close those together with the shirred panel sandwiched in between and pin it all in place. Make sure you catch all of the layers and you tuck that shirred panel right through, so when we sew it, it's really, really secure. Top stitch as neatly as you can where we've just pinned, and that will keep your shirred panel in place. I apologise for the appalling lighting here. So to attach the shirred back to the skirt, what you want to do is pull it tight and then clip it on. This skirt was a little bit bigger than the shirred panel, so as you can see I've had to do a little bit of gathering in, and then I pinned it kind of in the middle because there were two back pieces. So as you sew it, you are going to want to pull this tight. Otherwise, this will all be tight and gathered in, and then when you try and put your dress on, this doesn't stretch. So it's really important to make sure that this has the stretch that the shirred back panel does, so it's easy to get it on. Hello, we're back. It's a couple of weeks later now. I was just editing this vlog and realised I never actually finished it. So I thought I would do a quick summary of our little break and the things I made. First and foremost, Sorrento was absolutely amazing. It's about an hour from Naples airport and it is just the most beautiful town. Everything is built into the cliff faces and the town itself is just absolutely stunning. You've got views over to Naples and the Gulf of Naples, and it's just incredible. It's such a beautiful location. We've been to Italy quite a lot, and that has taken the top spot for me as the most beautiful and picturesque. It was divine. I cannot wait to go back. Our wedding venue was like something out of a fairy tale. I'm so pleased that we got to go and see it before we go over there for our wedding in the autumn. It was really, really nice to kind of picture everything and imagine how it's going to be on the day. And now I'm feeling very, very inspired to do some wedding sewing for sure. So as you might be able to see, I finished the white dress. I was sewing the skirt on the night before we flew, which was really not planned, but as you probably gathered from earlier on in the video, I hadn't been very well, so I wasn't doing a lot of sewing on the lead up to our break, and I also had another migraine when we got back as well, so I haven't finished the Nomi dress either yet, but I'm really, really pleased with this one. There are a few things that I will change if I make it again and that I might need to change on this one. I might need to unpick it and go back in and alter some fit issues. As you can see, it's gaping a little bit around here. Again, I think this is to do with this overlay on the bodice. Because it's just gathered at the side and it's cut on the bias and it's quite loose, it almost stretches and it pulls the lining away. So what you end up getting is the lining kind of rolls over. So if I was to make this again, I would make this overlay a bit smaller, or I would pleat it and properly stitch it down so it doesn't move, because this tends to move around during the day. It is really lovely. I love the gathering and the way that this bodice looks, but it definitely needs to be a little bit more secure for it to sit right. So I would definitely make that a bit smaller. I also need to size down next time I make this. I made the 12, I could have done with the 10 because it is big on the bodice. The shirred back though is perfection. I'm so pleased that I added that because we ate and drank so much, and comfort levels for this dress, 10 out of 10. I felt lovely in it all day. It's really, really nice to wear. The other thing with it is because the shoulders are elasticated, you can wear it off the shoulder, or you can tuck the sleeves actually into the bodice if you want to have your shoulders out if you're sat by the pool or something like that. So it was perfect. The fabric is really, really gorgeous. And I was really proud of myself. I didn't spill anything down it, which was amazing. I got a bit of makeup on it, but apart from that, and considering I was eating pasta and drinking Aperol, this was not the best colour to wear, but actually it survived. It's stain free, which is a miracle. It really is a miracle. And then the other dress, the McCall's cutout dress, was gorgeous. Unfortunately, when we went over there, it was a little bit cold. So I wore it for dinner, but wore it with a jacket over the top. So didn't really get the full vibe of it, but beautiful, beautiful dress. If you've got a wedding or occasion coming up this summer, a special summer holiday, I couldn't recommend that enough. I know that those kind of cutout dresses are not for everyone, especially because it shows a lot of the back as well. It's quite a revealing dress. I understand that it's not going to be to everybody's taste, but if you are confident and you love that style, I would 10 out of 10 recommend that pattern. It's so gorgeous. So a last minute decision that I did was I elasticated the back. I figured out I actually had enough room on the back of the skirt, and yeah, 100% the way to go. That was really, really comfortable, and it looked much nicer, I think, than it would have if I'd have added a zip. So if you make that dress, definitely add a little bit more room to the waist, and then you can have a lovely little elasticated channel at the top. Let me know what you think of those two dresses, and let me know which one is your favourite as well. I'm really pleased with how they turned out. I'm absolutely gutted I didn't have time to finish my Nomi dress or the swimsuit. I definitely want to get both of those made, so keep your eyes peeled because sew-alongs will be coming for those very, very soon. But I do need to get my head down and focused on finishing my wedding dress. I'm feeling really, really inspired to get that done now we've been over to see our venue. So my goal is to try and get it pretty much finished by the end of June. Wish me luck. I've got a lot to do. I say pretty much finished. My weight is a bit all over the place at the moment. So I think what I'm going to do is finish it to a point where in a couple of months' time I can adjust it if I need to fit wise. I really don't want to get it finished and then end up either putting on or losing weight before the wedding and it doesn't fit me. So we're going to do as much as we can up till the end of June and then come back to it in September and finish off the final bits. Over July and August, I'll be doing my bridesmaid dresses and getting those done. And as well as all that, because I'm not busy enough, I also have a very, very exciting bridal themed project to share with you. I was going to keep this a surprise, but I can't. I'm too excited to share. I have been gifted a vintage wedding dress from my mother-in-law to be. It's her mother's wedding dress from the 1950s. It's 73 years old. It's a lace wedding dress and it's absolutely beautiful, and she's asked if I can do something with it and make a dress for our dinner for the night before our wedding. I'm so flattered that she trusts me with this as well. Keep your eyes peeled. That video will be coming very, very soon and we'll start working on that project, going through some design ideas, and I'm going to be bringing you with me for the whole journey, getting your ideas and opinions on what to do with this dress. But anyway, I think I've rambled on for long enough today, so I will stop now and leave this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this vlog and part 2 of sewing my dream Italian wardrobe. Make sure to subscribe if you did enjoy today's video. I would love to have you back, but I will see you in my next video. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye.